Look, I am turning over a new leaf. I am on time. I'm on time. First of all, please understand in my real life, I am always on time. But when you're doing a live show, making sure everything is working, making sure the focus is focusing, making sure the sound is working, making sure I have all my notes. I didn't even have my notes in front of me. Making sure I have all the sponsors ready to go. Just a lot of things, and rewatching and watching this Summer House Martha's Vineyard reunion over and over and over and over again. I know you guys have lots of opinions, and please understand, if you think your unpopular opinion won't be welcome here, yes, it will be. Please feel free to share all of your opinions in the live chat. And if you're part of the replay crew, I understand it. It is Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day. Shout out to our armed forces, for those that have fallen in pursuit of securing our freedom. We appreciate you. Shout out to those of you that are so shut up. I am on time. Shout out to our armed forces and those of you, our veterans as well. Okay. Happy Memorial Day. I'm so happy that we are here together. You could be anywhere. You could be at a barbecue. If you're here in New York City, you're not having a barbecue. It's raining. I'm sorry to laugh, but I wasn't planning a barbecue today. I hope you had one yesterday. Anyways, let's get into our Summer House Martha's Vineyard recap. And shout out to the person that already disliked the video and you haven't even heard the recap yet. Oh, you're a hater watching. Keep watching. It helps. Bye, y'all.
Here we go now.
Guys, welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. Again, happy Memorial Day. Shout out to those of you that have lost someone that has served in the military. We appreciate all of you. Shout out to Fleet Week here in New York City. It's my favorite time of the year here in New York City. I haven't seen a lot of sailors, but I also haven't really left the house. But I have seen some sailors. But shout out to all of you. And I know we have quite a few of those of you that are in the military that watch, and those of you that are veterans. So we appreciate all of your service. I know Memorial Day is not necessarily about the veterans that we have right now or the people that are serving right now. But look, I take this opportunity to celebrate everyone. All right. Anyways, I do appreciate you guys taking time out of your holiday. I know this is the start of the summer season, so I appreciate you all taking time out to be here for our Summer House Martha's Vineyard recap. I know a lot of you were a little disappointed with the reunion, but I tell you this, I was at the premiere party. Take a drink every time I mention it this season. There was only 10 episodes. Calm down. All right. I was at this Summer House Martha's Vineyard premiere party, and they told us that they only had 9 episodes and there was no confirmation for a reunion. So for those that wonder why we didn't get a special reunion set, first of all, budget. They didn't have the budget for it. And they also didn't plan for this. And there is no part 2. I think the reason why we're even getting a reunion is because they had space to fill. It's Memorial Day weekend. I was surprised they even showed a new episode of New Jersey. For those that missed my Real Housewives of New Jersey recap, be sure to check that out on my YouTube channel or on Facebook. So they had space to fill. Let's just be grateful that we even had a reunion. It is a win for us. I do believe we're going to get a season 3, but if you haven't watched this season, if you haven't watched the reunion yet, these next few days are so critical for getting those ratings that Bravo is looking at. All right? So, we've been watching Summer House Martha's Vineyard since the beginning. I told you when I first found out about the show, I didn't know what the name of the show was, but producers stopped me at BravoCon in 2022 to tell me about this show. And it was a spinoff. And I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't know because I didn't watch Summer House. But they told me that it was, did they tell me it was Martha's Vineyard? I can't remember if they told me where it was located. I think they did. And I got excited because they seemed very sure about it. But I never listened to production. I was like, all right, you're just blowing smoke up my you-know-what. But no, we ended up really loving the show from season 1. And I think season 2 was even better. Wendy said the reunion felt rushed. And I'm not surprised by that because clearly they wanted to condense all of this, everything from season 1 to season 2 in this one reunion. And next week, I don't know what airs next week after Real Housewives of New Jersey. I know Dubai is coming back, but they come back, June 5th or something like that? I saw the first 3 episodes of Real Housewives of Dubai. And that's not necessarily a good thunder. I'll talk more about it when the episodes air. We can't really talk about screeners. But anyways, I watched it. Shout out to everyone in the live chat. We appreciate you guys being here. Shout out to our subscribers, our channel members. To become a member, head on over to TheKempire.com/join. And of course, we could not do our live shows or the comment section without our King's Guard. So be sure to say hello and thank you to them. This is our weekly recap of Summer House Martha's Vineyard Season 2. This is our final recap, as long as nothing major happens. Oh, how are you guys feeling about the cast? After, watching this reunion? First of all, I forgot how big this cast actually is. What a huge cast. Naomi says, I enjoyed Andy's shading Amir. A lot of people did. Even I did. Those little remarks that Andy had against Amir was really, really funny. But obvious and easy. All right. How do we feel? Look. How do we feel about Andy hosting this reunion? Again, this was a last-minute reunion. It's happening at the Watch What Happens Live Clubhouse. I'm not surprised. I already knew that they would have him host a reunion. But I always remind you guys that there's so much black and brown talent, personalities, journalists over at Bravo and NBC Universal that they could have. They enlist them for the BravoCon. So I don't understand why they don't just do that, but that's a whole other story. I don't think that Andy did a bad job, but it's just different when you have a black host hosting a reunion like this. Okay? Like, we didn't even address the whole Arthur Ashe of it all. There's so many other elements that we didn't even talk about the history of Martha's Vineyard and why this is so important. Like, we had a reunion about the drama and everything that played out during the season, but we didn't talk about the significance of why it's so important that we have this show. We didn't talk about that. But that's just me. I'm just saying. I feel like those key elements should have been mentioned because this was their first reunion and their only reunion so far. I think that would have been really important to mention some of that. They should have met some of that. All right. So Andy, of course, as what he always does, he greets everyone, just getting a little update and a little shade from everyone. I have to say, seeing the reunion looks in person, it definitely looked a lot better. Who looked better for me at the reunion? Jordan still looked bad. Jordan's reunion look still looked terrible. And mind you, Jordan, for someone that people had such high hopes for, you've been on Winter House, and yes, you guys have told me countless times, she was so different towards the men on Winter House. Okay, I'm just gonna get ahead of that. Okay, but for people, people were saying that she was the reason to pull this cast together, and that's part of the reason why her and Jasmine don't get along anymore. I mean, that's not the excuse she gave during the reunion. she definitely is not giving star of the show. Like, she barely had anything that she had talked about during this reunion. I feel like the focus really was on Amir, Jasmine, Alex and Summer, and Noelle. Noelle showed up. I will still say, no matter how I felt towards the end of the season when it comes to Noelle still was the most valuable player. For the newbie, for brand new artist of the show, I give her kudos. And she showed up at that reunion. She kept on chiming in, even when it wasn't necessary. I just tweeted something about, you do notice how certain reality TV stars go on like press tours ahead of, people's possible reaction to them during a season or during a reunion. I kind of got that feeling from Preston, because a lot of you were pointing out Preston's done so many interviews in the last week, and it made me wonder, was he trying to get ahead of how he looked at the reunion? We will revisit that. But in regards to the reunion looks, I have to say, originally I didn't like Shanice's look, and I don't like it standing, but very much like the dress that Garcelle wore at her reunion, not this past one, I think the previous one. I think this dress is more of a sitting dress. I think Shanice's dress is more of a sitting dress. It looked better sitting down. And honestly, for Bria, who had so much mouth this season, I expected more from her during the reunion. Anyone else? I expected more mouth from Bria at the reunion. Look. Oh, damn, I missed the comment that I wanted to. Oh, wait. Crystal says, unpopular opinion, which is fine here. I thought Noelle was doing too much and not willing to listen. I agree. And it kind of reminded me of what Nick said during that whole heated conversation, those last couple of episodes, where he was saying, I know you want to feel included. And I was like, oh, I do feel like Noelle was, she was trying to show up. To secure her bag for next season. But I also still do not dislike Noelle. She still was very likable during the season, but I definitely feel like she was trying. Okay? Ooh, a lot of you are saying that you're side-eyeing Preston. You know what? Flip, Virgo. Bria was playing the mute challenge. B says, Preston and Noelle are nice, nasty as hell. Ooh. Go on. Delos says Jordan was wearing a fruit roll-up or saran wrap. I don't know what she was wearing. I don't know how she put that on, and no one said, you sure? You sure about this one? All right, we will get there. I have so much to talk about. All right, so let's start at the top. Andy's greeting everyone. Andy says, it's so strange seeing you, Bria, without Milo. Why I keep saying Milo? Milo. I will get it right at some point during this season. I mean, the season's over, but Milo. I thought Milo was your emotional support dog. What is he doing in Germany with Simon? Is he also Simon's emotional support dog, Bria? Just asking. Because I know everyone's wondering, like you said that, Milo is your your emotional support dog. I just, I feel like you're not emotionally supported at this reunion without him. CM says, would Jordan have listened? Probably not. And she probably didn't listen. Maybe someone did say something to her and she said no. So Milo wasn't at the reunion. I kind of had hoped he would be, but fine. Okay. Juvenile has Jordan blocked. Juvenile, the rapper, has Jordan blocked. And she talked about how much, Andy said, I loved your Freaknik episode. Everyone loved the Freaknik episode. So Juvenile has her blocked. I don't know. Do you think that she was trying to, I don't know. Why do you think Juvenile has Jordan blocked? I also believe that sometimes people are randomly blocked by people's teams if you mention them and things like that. I think that's what happened between me and Anita Baker. I mean, that's the story I'm going with. Okay, moving on. Andy then, he had a whole kind of shady comments towards Amir and Amir's relationship with Natalie. He says, has Natalie fully cut off your... And then Amir responds and it pats his puss. He pats his puss and he's like, no, it's still there. CM says, how crazy do you have to be for Juvenile to block you? I don't know. I thought that was random. But then I have a whole list. Okay. I have a whole list of people that have blocked me. And I'm very sweet. Shut up.
Lies! The lie!
I'm very sweet in comparison to some folks. Just saying. So Andy asked the question, has Natalie fully cut off your you know what? And Amir responds, and pats his puss. It's still there. It's still there. Anyways, all right, so let's start. So at the top of this reunion, we are talking about Alex, Summer, and Noelle, and the love triangle that we had this summer. I have so many opinions. First of all, Alex claims that he broke up with Summer, and Summer's like, no, we just fizzled out. Who do you believe? I believe Alex, to be honest with you, because Summer is lying about her name. Like, she's meeting real estate agents and saying my name is Autumn. Did anyone else catch? You know, everyone keeps calling Alex boring. And look, he can be boring, fine. However, he got me at this particular, he said, I think the question was asked to me. And then he said, fall back, Autumn. He said it so quickly and subtly, I think people missed it. So when Andy asked him this question about, who broke up with who, he says, I broke up with her. I told her I don't feel like this is going anywhere. And Summer was like, no, that's not how it happened. We just fizzled out. And then she was, trying to overtalk him. And he's like, I think the question was asked to me. And then he said, fall back, Autumn. For those that missed it, he said on Watch What Happens Live that when he was hanging out with Summer and they met a real estate agent and she introduced herself as Autumn. Oh, come on. My thing is, if you didn't see Watch What Happens Live and you just watched the show, it probably went right over your head. But this is why I'm here, to let you know. And honestly, I wish Andy in that moment was like, did you just call her Autumn? Yes, Alex, yes. That was so good. That was so good, Alex. Alex was activated on Watch What Happens Live, and he was activated during this reunion. All I need Alex to do next summer, grow in a beard. I like the goatee on him, but grow in a beard. I need you to lean into your F-boy era. I'm joking. But now I want to see him with the beard. And I want to see that same energy. And now that we found out that Nick and Tasia have broken up, remember, who was there when Nick tried to shade me on Instagram? Because I commented, I asked a serious question too. It wasn't even being shady. I asked him a question. I said, I don't remember if I said, is he still with Tasia or will Tasia be there? I don't remember. It was something to that effect. And he was like, no need to worry anymore. We're still together. And I was like, I wasn't worried. I was asking a question, Nick. Only for us to find out right before the holidays, Nick and Tasia broke up. Look, but I'm a Nick apologist. Look, at least this episode. I'm a Nick apologist. This episode. We'll get back to that. Back to Alex, Summer, and Noelle and that whole situation. All right. So Alex said that he told Summer he wasn't interested in anything more. I believe Alex. I really do believe Alex. Sidebar, did anyone ever ask Summer in an interview why she referred to herself as Autumn? Just asking. Summer claims that she did tell Noelle about sleeping with Alex, but it seemed as if the timeline of it all was off. And that's when Noelle started getting activated and trying to overtalk Summer. She was like, let's get this timeline straight. She's like, well, he spoke, can I speak? And basically, and look, we see this amongst friend groups. Some of you probably use this terminology. I was talking to him, and that means you were sleeping with him, you were with him. But apparently, Noelle didn't know that. Here's the thing that I noticed, though, Summer. I noticed that even after you told her that you were sleeping, that you slept with him, and she had told you in passing, like, oh, if there was anything with him, I'm not going to touch that. It seemed as if you really did not want Noelle to hook up with Alex. Even though you said you were cool with it, based off this reunion, it felt as if you really wouldn't have been cool if they hooked up. But Noelle, that energy of like, I need to get my I don't understand. And I know some of you have tweeted me just before the live that Noelle said in an interview that more happened between her and Summer. And that's why Noelle has sort of this very big, like just an angry energy towards Summer. And I told you during the finale recap, I didn't understand why why Noelle felt the way that she did about Summer and why she wouldn't get up and say goodbye to Summer. I thought that was weird. I thought it was weird, but apparently something else happened. I wish at the reunion we would have gotten a clearer answer on what happened. Because for me at the reunion, it felt weird that Noelle has such negative energy towards Summer. And everyone else has had issues, but they seem to be in a decent place. But Noelle and Summer, it felt like those were the only ones that were really like beefing. Besides Nick and Amir. But apparently Nick and Amir, they met up at the Nets game and they were okay. Maybe. Okay. The F-boy narrative, they do talk about that. We've talked about this endlessly here in regards to everyone just referring to Alex as an F-boy and running with that narrative during the season and on social media. We don't believe that Alex is an F-boy. Sherster, I saw your comment. I knew that name immediately. Sherster, if you're watching. I was like, oh, I know who that is. Asked that comment about the whole F-boy narrative with Alex. It seems as if that they were really trying to dog out the men this season. And look, it's very easy to dog out some of these guys because, you know, they're dogs. But the whole F-boy narrative with Alex never felt like it landed. It was just like, I don't get that from Alex based on what we're seeing. Again, we're only seeing a snapshot of who these people are. And then the whole narrative around Nick towards the end of the season. Who knows? Guys, happy Memorial Day for those that are just joining us. This is our Summer House Martha's Vineyard recap. As always, you know, I have a busy schedule, especially on Mondays when we have 2 live recaps. I don't have time to sit here and cook a damn thing. But our friends over at Factor Meals make it easy. In just 2 minutes, I have a chef-crafted, delicious meal, and I can decide what kind of meal. Can it be keto? Do I want it to be high in protein? Do I want it to be calorie smart? Well, they are preparing you this summer by joining the Kempire channel by sponsoring today's live recap of Summer House Martha's Vineyard. Warmer, sunnier days are calling. Fuel up with them with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals in time for summer thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and even Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes, no matter how busy you are. You'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals with Factor Meals. All right, head to factormeals.com/Kempire50 and use code Kempire50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code Kempire50 at factormeals.com/Kempire50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is still active. More information on Factor Meals will be available in the description. April said, I just signed up. Yes, love it. I signed up for Factor. Good meals. Good meals. All right. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Portia says, Alex isn't an F-boy. I don't even think that he was probably an F-boy in the past. I know he said he's a retired F-boy. I don't get that vibe from him. I don't think that he ever really was an F-boy. I really don't. Jesse says, Kempire, let's do some interviews with the cast. You would be great too. I've already interviewed quite a few of them. I mean, the season's over, so I'm done with them until the new season. You know who I should get? I should get Natalie and Amir.
Lies! The lie!
No, not interested. I mean, if they called in, I'd interview them. Come on now. But, no. No. All right, so back to this. So, they talk about the F-boy narrative around Alex. Alex says that he could have been an F-boy with Noelle. And Noelle's like, how I get in this? And he's right. He really could have played with that whole situation. Noelle was obviously very much interested in him, but he didn't run with it. All right. Let's talk about this photo situation. Jordan doesn't believe the fact that Summer, Preston, and Jordan are like tight. All right. Oh, damn. Truly Dorcas says, he's a Kappa. Please. He's an F-boy. Oh, come on. Not every single Kappa is an F-boy. I don't know. Look, I never dated a Kappa. Anyways, and hey, and first of all, Anne, I don't know if you saw my comment from the last live recap that we did last week, I think it was. Thank you so much for your super chat. I completely missed it before we ended the live. We appreciate your support always. Anne says, I think the energy from Alex is more heartbreaker than F-boy. Okay, that's a nice way of saying it, Anne. Perhaps perhaps that's where the confusion is. You're right. I think that might be it. Remember when you were a little kid, like boys, you remember when you were a little kid where like relatives would be like, this one's going to be a little bit heartbreaker. If they only knew. No. So the photo situation. So you remember, Summer took that creepy photo, of Alex and then sent it to her, I guess sent it to Nick? Who she sent it to? Jordan or something like that? And then it got back to Alex. All right, that he was hanging out with Summer. Jordan didn't believe that it was creepy. But let me tell you something. The minute that they gave the example, oh, if we took a selfie together, he wouldn't be, and send it to whoever, he wouldn't be cool with that. So that for me, the fact that you know that he wouldn't be cool with taking a picture with you and you do it undercover says to me that that was creepy behavior. Anyone else get that? To me, that was creepy then. Because if you knew taking a selfie with him would come across, it would be something he wouldn't want, and for you to share this with the group and you do it undercover, that is creepy. That is creepy. All right, Summer. So Summer, we get summer section, autumn section. We get autumn section in regards to what played out during the season. As you know, Summer had a challenging season, and she opened up about issues with her grandmother, reconnecting with her mom, trying to find her father. She reveals that after she did 23andMe, the man that she found on Facebook actually is her father, but she's not trying to reach out to him and connect with him. She's already had a lot of really amazing father figures in her life, including her grandfather who adopted her. Okay, so she does give us an update in regards to that. She addresses, because, Amir told his girlfriend that every woman in the house wanted to be with him, and we were all like, who? And then all of you pointed out, remember what Shanice said? Yeah, she said that in passing. Nothing ever happened. Look, nothing ever happened. Even though Shanice's explanation, she was like, just because I say I want to F someone doesn't mean I'm shooting my shot. What does that mean then? If you were telling people you want to screw someone, that's not you shooting your shot? Maybe it's not. I don't know. I just feel like if you say that to people, it might be shooting your shot. Okay, Shanice. Anyways, so Amir talks about how Summer can be touchy. And he wanted to change the word. And he's like, well, you sort of like put your hand and it lingers. Anyone else was just sort of like, Amir, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know where you're coming from. This doesn't make that much sense for you to turn this into something more than it is, especially with your jealous girlfriend. I think part of Amir likes the fact that Natalie's jealous because it makes him feel important. It makes it, look, a lot of people, don't sit here and judge Amir. A lot of you at some point, but you learned the hard way, a lot of you at some point liked when your boyfriend or your girlfriend was really jealous until it became too much. Then you realize, oh yeah, maybe I don't like when my boyfriend or girlfriend is jealous. Right now it's cute until it's not. You saw how she was acting when he made comments. She's like, oh, is that Jordan? Oh, that's not Jordan. And then she was like, ugh. She got really upset. And that was one time. So this whole conversation about Summer being touchy or her hand lingering too long on the guys in the house. And then he tried to give an example. He's like, oh, yeah, remember I pointed it out? Amir, no. Look, Amir, first of all, the fact that we're even talking about that and we're lingering on this conversation says to me, like, no, let's talk about how none of y'all know who Arthur Ashe is. Let's talk about that. All right. We didn't even talk about Silas being away and I mean, I guess we briefly did, but I don't know. Okay, this is one reunion where I feel like they could have had 2 parts at least. At least. Aquarius says that Amir is anti-black in my opinion. I mean, you saw all those tweets. He's scared of black women. That's what he said in the tweet. Has he ever addressed that? See, that's another question that could have come up at the reunion. Look, that's another question that could have come up at the reunion. Can you explain these tweets, sir? Pete says, Amir, bless your heart. No, no. I'm kidding. Exactly. Hey, Janelle. Janelle says, jealousy is a mask for insecurity. If my partner becomes jealous, then it's time for me to run far away. It depends. If it's a consistent jealousy, people are entitled to get jealous. People will get jealous. No one's perfect. My thing is if they're showing consistent behavior of controlling behavior and jealousy, that is the pattern. People get jealous. I don't think there's anything wrong if someone gets jealous or expresses insecurity. That's not it. It's the way that she, hey, Mr. Melanin Magic. Hey, Kemp Baby Daddy. I ain't got no babies. No, I'm playing. I don't.
Lies, the lie.
Let me take a sip. Guys, I always have my coldest water bottle with me. Head on over to coldest.com and don't forget to use the discount code Kempire10 for 10% off. I always forget to remind you guys about this, but they don't just have water bottles to keep your water cold for 36 plus hours. They have ice packs, which I've used. I've hurt my shoulder, so I've been using those ice packs. They have sheets. They have things for your pets. Speaking of Milo, you know what I mean? They have things. Kempire 10 for 10% off of your order. And don't forget, if you want to meet me here in New York City or in Boston, the Kempire After Dark live tour is coming to a city near you. Boston on June 27th. Here in New York City, in less than a month, Pride Month. Come to our show. Go get your tickets. More information on the Kempire After Dark live show for New York City is available in the description. All right, so go get your tickets. If you are in Nashville or Atlanta, go get your tickets. More information on those dates are available in the description, including Seattle. All right. Let's get back to Summer House Martha's Vineyard. So more about this whole situation. So Amir continues to talk about the lingering of the hands. And then he brings up the fact that, I feel like, I don't want to speak for women, but wouldn't other women be upset if a woman was hanging on their man the way that Summer was? I mean, maybe, but I feel like he was reaching. I feel like he was reaching with his issues with Summer. But you saw what Natalie said in the car. She also noticed something about Summer being touchy. But again, it's Natalie, who doesn't even like the fact that Amir is mentioning Jordan's name. Just the mention of Jordan's name. Lord, we'll get back to Amir and Natalie. Amir admits that Natalie is standoffish. You also know that Amir said in an interview that he wants Natalie to be full-time next season, and if she's not, he's not coming back. Bye. I said this last week. I'm going to say it again this week. Bye, Amir. No one likes you. Oh, damn.
That's really upsetting to me, so I'd appreciate it if you didn't say that.
Sorry. All right. So Amir says he doesn't mind that Natalie was bringing up his finances, because you remember a lot of us had opinions about her, pointing out that she makes so much more money than he does. He says he's secure. I get that. Like, I get why he wouldn't be necessarily bothered by it, but I get why all of us were sort of like, it felt like she was purposely trying to, not to emasculate him. It's like she was purposely trying to make herself look better than he is, and which was weird. Because if you're in a partner relationship, there are ways of saying that without. First of all, maybe he didn't want people to know how much money he makes a year. Like, who wants people to know your business like that? And who gave you permission to do that? Ruth says, I like Amir. Look, I've talked throughout the season. It was only these last few episodes that I've turned on Amir. I liked Amir during the season, most of the season. Until we got to the end, and I was just like, oh, God, here we go. All right. No one in the group. So Andy asked the group, who thinks that Natalie and Amir are a good couple. No one in the group. Jasmine raises her hand reluctantly and said, I think they're cute together. So no one really sees it for Natalie and Amir's relationship. But look, at the end of the day, who cares? I mean, he shouldn't care what they think about his relationship. This is his relationship. This is his very first serious relationship. So I'm not surprised. Here's where I have an issue, though. This is his very first serious relationship. There are some red flags. And now he told us at this reunion that, he bought a house and he's going to put her name on it. And, they bought a house together. Andy says, what could go wrong? And everyone laughs. Everyone laughs. What could go wrong? A lot could go wrong. I feel as if you should get married before you should, buy a house together. But I get it. They're in real estate. So I see this as Natalie's way of just making money. I don't think this is necessarily any real form of commitment from her. Okay, though. So they're buying a house together. He's going to put her name on the deed. All right. Andy says, what could go wrong? Amir reveals that he does have a ring for Natalie. He's just waiting on the right time. Andy says, before he even says that, he says, when did she instruct you to propose? Andy came for Amir left and right. Look, left and right. Andy came for Amir. But, Amir's okay with it. Amir will do anything to be famous. This is what turned me off to Amir in season 1. After seeing him on Watch What Happens Live, I was a little like, oh, he just wants to be famous. And nothing's wrong with that. There's a lot of reality TV stars that just want to be famous. Simon, we're coming for you next. Look, Simon, we're coming for you next. Because I defended you, Simon, all against my girl Bria. Only for you to be a multimillionaire, allegedly, just out for fame. I'm not surprised. We talk about this all the time when we talk about these reality TV stars. Like, why would anyone that has real money want to be on reality television? It's not for the money. Bravo doesn't pay like they used to pay. And for those that are international, they would die to be on American reality television. I don't know why. I find international television, specifically the UK television, a lot more entertaining, including reality. In South Africa, shout out to South Africa, far more entertaining than our reality television, at least lately. We'll get back to that. Let me say thank you because we had quite a few super chats. Guys, if you haven't liked the video already, it's an easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but other channels as well. We have over 1,100 people on YouTube alone watching our recap. And we have quite a few of you watching on TikTok, Twitch, and Twitter. We appreciate you guys. We will be posting the call-in link for members first, but live chat, once we get to a certain amount of likes, we will post the call-in link for you guys to call in and share your final thoughts on season 2 of Summer House of Martha's Vineyard. And if you're part of the replay crew, be sure to let us know how you would rate this week's episode and what you thought of the reunion. I know quite a few of you are busy for Memorial Day. Some of you are probably traveling back. It's okay. Shout out to our replay crew. All right. Shan, thank you so much for the super chat. Shan says, Jasmine made me so proud last night. She was eating them up. No one gave a real reason why they didn't mess with her. Right? Like, we never got to the bottom of what was their issue. And I know some of them might say, well, this is what the issue was, and they never talked about it. I'm still trying to understand what was the issue. Shan continues. She says, Jordan, Summer, and Preston are all fake. He let me down because I'm a Pisces. But I told you about those Pisces men. I told you about those Pisces men. They sneaky. Sneaky. And thank you so much for the super chat. Ann says, always happy to support. We arranged a meeting in Maine around your Boston show, which got... Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, she said, okay, Nicki Minaj. I'm sorry about that. So sorry about that, guys, for those that are in Boston. Well, I hope you guys can come to one of the other dates, if possible. We do have New York City coming up on June 21st, so stay tuned. Thank you, Ann, for always supporting. And we are working on London, folks. Let's move on. Delon, thank you so much for the super chat. Delon says, sorry, Autumn had too many excuses for her actions. Yeah, they did go back and forth with Summer about all of the excuses. Alex even said, there are plenty of people that are going through drama in their lives and they can still be decent human beings to others. I agree with that. I mean, then you pair it with alcohol. It does seem like Summer is an angry drunk. Just saying, certain people react differently when they're drinking. Scherster, was that your question they read at the reunion? Scherster says Amir is in a controlling relationship. He needs deliverance from his captor. No, let him stay there. Like, we don't care at this point. We try to help him. Samara, thank you so much for the super chat. Samara says, I feel like Natalie brings out the worst in Amir. Oh. He's likable when she's not the topic, and he's just at hanging out. That's not good. I agree, because remember, we enjoyed Amir up until Natalie arrived. But I get it. He's in this new relationship. He's enamored with her. I just don't see it going anywhere, and apparently the rest of the group doesn't see it going anywhere either. Samira, thank you so much for the super chat and being a part of this season and the drama and the tea. You're the reason why Alex called in. Come on, he had to clear his name. He had to clear his name. Nina, thank you so much for the super chat. Nina says, summer is strange. A lot of London, Ontario girls are weird. Someone else, Nina, were you the one who called in and said this? Someone else said this about summer. Noelle is weird, too, for wanting to get to know someone her friend was talking to. I don't think they were friends like that. We have to keep in mind when people say that they were friends and they're used to introduce them onto the show. I don't think the depth of friendship between Summer and Noelle really was there. And I kind of got hints of that at the reunion. Because Summer even says, like, you want me to open up to you, to Noelle. And I haven't even opened up to people that I am actually close with. So I don't know the depth of their friendship, but you're the second person to mention the whole specific part of Canada. Like, shout out to everyone in Canada. That's interesting. Anne, thank you so much for another super chat. I keep forgetting to play my... Anne says, Simon, not Gobadia, is a multimillionaire, yet Bria had to call Preston for help. Where's the family attorney? Where's the connection to the EU police? I just know who I'm calling. I'm calling Anne if I get into trouble in Europe. I mean, I didn't believe... Do we really believe everything that comes out of Bria's mouth? No. Okay? Look, no. All right. Thanks again, Anne, for the super chat. Simon, not Gobadia. I love that. Look, I love that. All right. Let's move on. If you are a member of the channel, we are going to drop the call link for you in just a second. We are talking about Summer House Martha's Vineyard. Was there anything else that I want to see? Yeah, there was more that I wanted to say. Amir claims that Shanice was trying to have, we mentioned this, trying to have, the sex with him, okay? But Shanice says that wanting to have sex with Amir is not her shooting her shot. How do we feel about that statement? I don't know if I believe that. Do you think that Shanice would have slept with Amir? Probably. So we get Summer's. Damn, you talked a lot about Summer in this reunion. Summer, this was your season. So they talk about Summer leaving the house early, and she gets emotional re-watching some of what played out during season, and she says that's hard to watch. She explains that she was dealing with a lot of stuff quietly. Despite her having such a close relationship with Preston and Jordan, she just wouldn't divulge all the things that she was going through. And I know some people would say, like, well, excuses, like Alex said. He's like, does that mean you can't be a decent human being? Bria, as you know, her and Bria had issues during the season, but they said they're good now. What we do find out is that Noelle and Summer, well, I think, Noelle follows everyone on the cast, but she doesn't follow Summer. And some of you hit me up on socials and said that apparently Noelle said in an interview more happened between her and Summer that they didn't show. I mean, they always say this. So what is it? What exactly didn't they show, Noelle? I want to know. Because it doesn't make sense. Based off what we saw during the season and what we see during the reunion, it doesn't make sense to us why you were going so heavy on Summer. Yes, Summer had a terrible season, and there were moments where we just couldn't stand Summer. However, you going after her the way that you were going after her at the end of the season and at the reunion, it felt misplaced. But again, you might have a legitimate reason. We just don't know what that reason is. Anyways, Summer says she didn't feel like she could open up to Noelle. And I told you before, when when Summer was drunk and fighting with Bria, and Noelle was in Summer's face constantly, touching her and just wanting her to open up to her. First of all, I don't know if that was just Noelle's way of trying to get camera time. I don't know if that's just how Noelle is. I said she was doing too much. She was doing too much. I don't think it was right for Summer to hit her or push her or shove her. But when I say leave me alone, leave me alone. Look, leave me alone. Mind your business. No, playing. Remember that for Fresh Prince? Anyways. So we get an, where was it? Oh yeah, we were talking about Alex. Jordan says that we get an update on Jordan's alopecia. Apparently Jordan's alopecia had started to get better and now it's starting to flare up again. And Andy thanks her for sharing her story, on the show. Noelle points out how alopecia is hugely, it's a huge thing that happens within the Black community. Preston gives a life update in regards to, as we talked about during the season, his father passed away, and apparently that situation with his father's side of the family has gotten worse. All right. Apparently the father died with debt, and now they're trying to put the debt on Preston and his sister. I guess certain debt doesn't die with you. Which debt is that? Look. Which debt doesn't die with you? So, Preston talks about how that situation is still, it's getting worse. It's getting worse issue. So Summer continues and she talks about how she's scared of being vulnerable. She gives us an update on, finding her father, but she's not going to pursue any sort of relationship with him. Speaking of Preston, so Preston and Bria talk about their relationship, and Bria apparently days before Preston was on Watch What Happens Live, unfollowed him. No, not unfollowed him. She blocked him. And she says she blocked him because she feels like he singles her out and has shaded her multiple times on the show from season 1 to season 2. All right. But then Preston brings up, you're basing all of this off of what is on the show. You're not even bringing up all the times I'm there for you off of the show. Like that France incident. We were just talking about Kelly Rowland and what went down at Cannes. Well, we reported to you when Bria was arrested in southern France and how that played out. Apparently, Preston, who is an attorney, connected Bria with international lawyers. I wish we would have gotten an update. Andy Cohen didn't even know about that. He was like, you were arrested? Because that would have led to a larger conversation of, her experience. It could have got connected this, anyways. I'm surprised they didn't even talk about that during the season. Maybe they did and it was cut out. I don't know. They didn't talk about it at all during the season. I felt like it was such a big story, at least to us that watched the show. But apparently Preston connected her with international lawyers, and she's like, Preston was like, even Simon wasn't there for you. She was like, yes, he was. He's the one who bailed me out. Well, in all fairness, she really only needed the lawyers for pursuing legal action about in regards to this, false arrest. So I think that's part of the reason why she needed, an international attorney. It wasn't because she was still in prison, or jail. All right, but she says that Simon was the one who bailed her out. So this leads to a conversation about her relationship with Simon and where they went wrong. She says that Simon doesn't listen to her or value her feelings. She feels like the long distance has affected their relationship. All right. Preston points out in regards to that France incident, he says that Bria never thanked him after the France incident. I mean, I think that's pretty foul. Do I believe Preston? Yeah. I believe Bria is just so caught up in herself that she didn't thank him. And you know how you can easily, quickly move forward with someone in regards to that? Thank them in that moment. You know what? I apologize if I didn't thank you. I really do appreciate, you being here and being there for me during such a terrible time. She couldn't even do that. Look, she couldn't even do that. Homegirl could not even do that. Are we surprised? Of course not. This is Bria. Guys, who are just joining us, we're talking about the Summer House Martha's Vineyard Season 2 reunion that was held at Watch What Happens Live, hosted by Andy Cohen, as you can see here. How would you guys rate the reunion from 1 to 10 if you had to rate it? How would you rate it? I know it felt short. It felt like there was so much more that they could have talked about. But like I said to you guys before, they were filling in a gap. We were not going to get a reunion. I'm glad we got one. It is a win. Hopefully we will get a season 3. These next few days are important, so make sure you're engaging, talking about it on social media, watching it if you haven't watched it yet. All right. Yeah. So I think look, I don't ride for a show unless I actually like a show. If I didn't like the show, I would have told you. Just saying. Like, why not? Well, why not? All right. So Preston and Bria and their issues doesn't feel as if they're fully settled, because when asked whether or not she would unblock him, she was like, well, we'll see how we figure things out here. I think they will figure things out. All right. She talks more about her relationship with Simon. Here's the thing. Nick says he does appreciate Bria standing up for him in regards to Simon wearing the flamingo outfit. I look at the Simon in the flamingo outfit differently than when I originally recapped it, because Andy Cohen brings up the fact that there are some people in the group that feel as if Simon is clout chasing. And then when Bria says, oh, I don't think he's clout chasing, and then she explains what she thinks it is, and he's like, well, isn't that clout chasing? Yes. And honestly, at first I was just like, here goes Bria bringing up Brad. I don't think it's any big deal. It wasn't during, Nick's speech. But now looking at the situation a little bit differently as him this multimillionaire clout chasing, I look at it differently. I look at him trying to have a moment. I look at he wants this to be a moment for him. And in that respect, I appreciate Bria shutting him down. Like, this isn't about you. This is about Nick. This is about Nick's friend. And now I look at the situation differently. Context is important, because I just thought he was being his usual weird self. But if he was looking for a moment, if he was clout chasing, I'm like, see, Mr. Melon Magic agrees. He's like, yeah, that changed my opinion too, Kemp. Yeah, I look at Simon differently. I do believe that he was enamored by being on American reality television. I don't care if he's I don't believe he's a multimillionaire, but I also believe they're both clout chasing off of each other. I don't think Bria is just sort of like, oh, I'm a big reality TV star and that's why he's with me. Oh no, I think that they're clout chasing off of each other. He's getting her in rooms and spending money on her and doing things like that. I do believe he has some sort of money. I don't know if I believe a multimillionaire, but I definitely believe he has money. I believe that they're using each other, to be honest. So Nick says he does appreciate Bria defending him in that moment. Bria talks about her soulmate in Tribeca. She says it's a person from her past. And she says that Simon laughed it off. Of course, because they're using each other. He wants to make sure he makes it onto season 3. I wish Andy in that moment would have called out who in this group believes that Simon is clout chasing. He just says some people in this group believe that Simon is clout chasing. I want to know who. Anyone else? I want to know who. Who in this group believes that Simon is clout chasing? Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the group. Who do I believe is Simon's clout chasing? Everyone. Every single, maybe not Shanice. Maybe Jordan, no. I think Jordan does. I think everyone besides Shanice. Everyone besides Shanice believes that Simon is clout chasing. Mr. Melanin Magic, thank you so much for the super chat. Jordan was a quiet fruit roll up. Speak up. Yeah, she really wasn't, saying much. Pete, thank you so much for the super chat. Pete says Bria equals Candace. From Real Housewives of Potomac, who's also a big fan of Summer House Martha's Vineyard. They even read a question or a comment from Candace. Do you think? I mean, I can see it. I see why people, that whole bratty, spoiled, that has followed Candace since her time on Potomac. So I could see that. All right. And thank you so much for another super chat. Ann says, Bria needed a solicitor to ensure her records are clear. The charges have been dropped. However, this could have led to EU ban. Wow. This Anne is talking about when Bria was arrested in France. Wait, let me read this again. Bria needed a solicitor, an attorney, to ensure her records are clear. The charges have been dropped. However, this could have led to an EU ban. So this is why she needed Preston to find her an international attorney. Luckily, Simon spoke German to the French police. No attorneys needed. Wow. 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 Look, I haven't been to France since right before the pandemic. However, that's quite disturbing. I want to go to France, but I think it's more southern France. But look. All right. Isis says that Jordan gives us nothing. Kathy says that Summer's a mean girl. But I'm gonna call you Nikki. Candace does not start it. She will respond. I think it's not necessary. Maybe you're responding to someone in the chat, but I think it's more so about just sort of like that childish energy that they both have. But they're always in the mess. I think that's where it comes from. Marigold says Candace is definitely a brat, but at least she's shady and fun the other half of the time. Yeah, she's a little bit. Yeah, I can agree with that. All right, guys, have you liked the video yet? We have almost 1,300 on YouTube alone watching our recap of Summer House Martha's Vineyard. Shout out to all of you watching on TikTok. We see you guys. Thank you for the taps, the likes, and the shares. Shout out to those of you watching on Twitch and Twitter and on Facebook. We appreciate that as well. If you are a member of the channel, I'm going to drop the call-in link for you first before I continue talking about Summer House Martha's Vineyard reunion for season 2. Let me just do that before I forget. All right, let me do this. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. All right, let me drop the call-in link for members. This is not a perk, but we always include it for our members. So if you haven't already, become a member today at TheKempire.com/join. Live chat. We have how many likes? Let's get to 550 likes, and I will drop the call-in link for you guys. All right, that's not asking a lot because we have 1,200 of you, over 1,300 of you watching. All right. Let me just send this to our members. Okay, members, I've dropped the call-in link for you guys there. All right. So back to this. So we talked about, oh, damn, we still have so much more to go. Buckle up. And I'm hungry. Lord, have mercy. All right. So Preston and Bria and their situation, we handled that. We talked about Simon's situation. Again, I want to know who in the group. Jasmine did point out that that Bria's mom and her agree that they feel like Simon likes the attention. I'm looking at Simon in a whole different light. Jasmine's storyline and her pregnancy and her issues with Jordan. So we have this moment where she says that she feels as if, Andy asked the question, who do you feel like was the least supportive in regards to your pregnancy? And she says Jordan. She says she did not like Jordan's comments. You remember that shady comment that Jordan made about, I think this is Silas's first pregnancy. It's like, oh, I don't mean that in a shady way. And I told you back then when we recapped it, I said it would fall differently if her and Jasmine weren't in a good place. But they're clearly not in a good place. So a comment like that from someone that's not in a good place with you just lands differently. So Jasmine gets activated in this moment. And she says, I should have checked you and our friendship a lot earlier. Oh. She's like, I should have checked you in that friendship a lot earlier. All right. Andy does ask the question, who missed having Silas in the house? And we see Preston doesn't raise his hand, so Andy asks about that. And apparently Silas and Preston have not communicated, clearly because he's away. And I'm trying to understand, what would they need to communicate about? Like, what is the issue between Silas and Preston? We never really got to that. But this leads to Jasmine bringing up the Jamaica trip and how she wasn't invited. I feel like we never got to the bottom of why people alienated Jasmine the way that they did. Because Jordan says, like, she felt like She felt like Jasmine was being a puppeteer. And a lot of people felt like that with Jasmine in season 1. They felt like Jasmine was doing a lot and sort of like being the mother of the house. And Jordan clearly felt a little bit different because Jasmine was in a different place in her life. And she talks about that during the reunion. She's like, yes, I was in a different place in my life. I've evolved. But what we've seen in season 2 when it comes to Jordan, it's very clear that Jordan seemed jealous for whatever reason. At first in season 1, I wasn't sure if it was jealousy, but in season 2, it seems as if, and because she confirmed this in season 1, that she wants to have a partner. She wants to have some of the things that Jasmine has. All right. Is the issues with Preston and Silas from season 1? So they haven't had a conversation since then? Thank you, Shanti. Shanti says, Preston mentioned it in an interview that Silas didn't like his public criticism of him from season 1. Okay. MM says that Jasmine was insufferable in season 1. I don't know if she was insufferable. I think that was more so Silas. But she was definitely different. It felt like she was being a producer in season 1. Season 2, she sort of fell back and just had a good time, probably also because she was pregnant. Who knows? But this rift between Jasmine and Jordan just didn't make sense. She kept on saying that she felt like Jasmine was being different. But then why would you still be different towards her in season 2? Silas is not there. It felt like she was holding a grudge against Jasmine unnecessarily. This is important. Ricky says that Jasmine wasn't on the Jamaica trip because Jordan didn't want her to go on the trip. Even though when they asked this question during the reunion, Shanice says she was the first person to say that she didn't want Jasmine to be there. And she says it was because she knew that Jasmine wasn't getting along with the rest of the group. And I'm looking at Shanice with the side eye like, oh, okay. I don't know why they decided to alienate Jasmine from the rest of the group. This interaction between Preston and Jasmine felt weird. I got what Jasmine meant. She's like, well, I introduced you to these girls. Because as you can see, Preston is now really close with Summer and Jordan. So the dynamics of this friendship have really changed. And I got where Jasmine was saying, like, I thought because I've introduced you to these people and now they've become your best friends. I'm not saying that you have to be my best friend over them. But I would have thought that because I introduced you to these people, that you would sort of be a neutral party or a bridge to mending that friendship or mending the situation. I still don't understand why they wouldn't invite her to Jamaica, though. Because I don't feel like whatever issues that they had was that deep. Not as deep as Noelle's issues with Summer. Right? If I didn't see what was the issue, and Summer and Preston didn't want to continue to take the fall for Jasmine not being invited to Jamaica. All right. Sin says Preston's Jamaica story to Brooke Ashley was different. But I told you, I feel it's always interesting when you see these reality TV stars start doing a lot of press right before a reunion or a new season. That is questionable behavior. It's like you want to get ahead of a narrative. Just saying. It's like you saw the final edit and you were like, or you saw what played out during the reunion. Kathy says that Preston is treating them like a couple, meaning Jasmine and Silas, because he has issues with Silas. So he's treating Jasmine that way. Maybe. But it gets a little heated between Jasmine and Preston because he makes it seem like she's trying to change the narrative around how things played out. I didn't expect to see these issues between Preston and Jasmine because we didn't see it during the season, but clearly there are some issues. So Jasmine says in that moment, in regards to first, she mentions like, well, I introduced you to these folks, and he was like, I feel like that's a shady comment. I feel like that's a shady comment, and she admits that it was a shady comment. I don't think it was a shady comment. I think for Jasmine in that moment, it's just like I introduced you to these folks. out of respect of me introducing you to them, I would hope you would be a bridge in order for us to get to a better place. Because I don't feel like Jasmine did anything to this group that we know of. We don't know everything that we know of warranted everyone alienating Jasmine. And I do believe that Jordan was the reason why, because we see the closeness between Preston and Jordan now. I always say pay attention to how people treat other people, because just because they're not treating you that way now doesn't mean that they won't treat you that way later. Okay? And that can go to Jordan or Preston. Okay? Taisha says it was shady. Samira, thank you so much for another super chat. Let me shimmy. Yeah, sorry. It gave very cliquish. They wanted to ice her out. I think a lot of fans are noticing that. And I think that's part of the reason why we saw a media tour talking about, like, I felt like I saw Preston everywhere in the last week before this reunion. Pete, thank you so much for the super chat. Pete says they refuse to give grace knowing Jazz has to produce. All right. We have quite a few people backstage. If you remember the channel, we posted a call-in link on the community tab. We're going to get to some callers in just a second, but we're talking about Summer House Martha's Vineyard. If you're part of the replay crew, be sure to let us know your thoughts on Summer House Martha's Vineyard. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video. It's an easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but also supporting the show and other content creators that are recapping the show. They will start to show up. They will start to show up on your Explorer page. Hey, L says, amen, Kemp. Present behavior is a great indicator of future behavior. Oh, this is an interesting comment. B Honey says they need to bring another married couple and have Jasmine bring on some new people. Break up the cliques. I said, look, this might be our final recap, but I'm going to say again, we've been saying it all season long. Bring back my boy Jason. Bring back my boy Jason. Come on now. Bring back Jason. I mean, they were considering Jason. I think something in negotiations fell apart. But Jason's actually friends with Jasmine, and they are actually in a good place. I think Jasmine really needed someone like Jason or Mariah there during the season. All right. Let's move on. I'll just point this out in regards to the back and forth between Jasmine and Jordan. Why exactly is Jordan so mad at Jasmine? And she said she felt like Jasmine was phony last season. She said she felt like she was trying to sell me to the highest bidder. And we talked about this last season. It didn't feel that way. It felt like she was doing a lot, but I think she was coming from a genuine place because of conversations that we probably haven't seen between Jasmine and Jordan about what Jordan wants in her life, that she wants a partner. And they showed that from season 1 during the reunion. And then she also felt like Jasmine was being a puppeteer last season. Again, that was all in season 1. It's been, a year, 2 years since then? So what were your issues with her during this season? And why didn't we have a moment where you guys talked about it during the season? Why didn't we have a Jasmine? And I mean, they did at the top of the season, but I feel like obviously it didn't heal. Obviously, there was still an issue. All right, man, we still have a lot more to go. Okay, buckle up. I'm gonna try and skim through this, but I'm not so much. Nick and everything that played out with Nick at the end of this season. So Jordan's biggest issue with Nick was wasn't the fact that he was touchy-feely. It was more so that he was in a relationship and maybe shouldn't have been in a relationship. We found out later in this segment that Nick and Tasia are no longer together. All right. The group said that they didn't even realize that the combo that's Nick had with Summer and Jordan about him being touchy-feely. So Noelle, Bria, and Shanice had no idea, and Natalie had no idea that they had a conversation with Nick. They felt like, oh, this was just something that Nick had no awareness of. Okay. The lady said that he didn't want to involve Natalie. She really sort of like involved herself and offered to have this conversation with Tasia. Okay. As I mentioned before, Nick and Tasia broke up right before the holidays, and he admits that part of what broke them up was the fact that he embarrassed her on television. That wasn't the ultimate reason, but he does feel like he embarrassed her on television. He did, season 1 and in season 2. Okay. Kathy asked the question. She says, Kempire, if you could remove one person from the cast, who would it be? Summer isn't coming back, so who and why? Amir, because he wants to bring Natalie. That was easy. But if you're talking about when it comes to the ladies, honestly, Jordan. Jordan didn't offer much this season. And before you say the Freaknik party, that was production. She really just sort of like faded to black during the season. And maybe she was going through stuff during the season. I don't know. But I could see her going. Anyways, with Nick, so we had this moment between Amir and Nick because Amir tries to explain how he felt like Nick shouldn't be looking at Shanice and her body when Shanice is topless and twerking and all this stuff. And I told you as a gay man, I would be looking too. Like, what the hell? Like, what are you doing? Like, or like, why do I see, areolas? You know what I mean? Come on. So as Amir is trying to explain this, I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't get where you're coming from. Even Preston and Alex were like, we don't get where you're coming from in regards to it. Because again, and Nick says this in the reunion, it's not like Nick was like gawking at it or touching or being inappropriate or making comments. They literally show Nick while Shanice is doing all of this topless, and he's just like you telling me like this man is, as a gay man, I'm looking too, like why am I seeing all of this? So I don't love the fact that Amir of all people, because I guess because Amir's in a relationship where he has a controlling woman, and he's like I'm gonna look away. He feels like that's how Nick should be as well. I'm going to look away. How am I looking away? Like, am I going to spend the filming process looking away? Because Shanice is always naked. So am I going to spend the entire time just looking away? He wasn't gawking at her. She never said that he made her feel uncomfortable. Look, Teresa, probably you would look too. Like, what the hell are you doing, girl? Teresa says, any man, when a woman is twerking naked with boobs and behind is in his face, would look. I hate the fact that you have us defending Amir, of defending Nick, which is fine. But this is a perfect example of reaching. Shout out to our King's Guards holding us down in the live chat, guys. Don't forget to say hello and thank you to our King's Guards for reminding you all the important things in regards to the Kempire channel that you should be looking out for. More details on our Cameo, our P.O. Box, and the Kempire After Dark, a live tour where you can meet me in person and we can have real conversation. This New York City show, June 21st, if you haven't got your tickets yet, if you're I know you all keep saying, Kempire, come to the city. Well, no promises I'm coming to your city, so the New York show, the Boston show, the Nashville show, the Atlanta show, or the Seattle show. Pick one. Pick one. Go get your tickets today if you haven't already. I'm excited for our next up, our New York City show for Pride Month. We're going to talk about everything. And because it's still so fresh in my brain, I'm going to have to talk about Summer House, but I'm going to really talk about Summer House. I'm going to really get in there. And this is also where you can come and drop tea. And if you're a single person and you're scared to come out by yourself, please understand I'm single too. So I'll be there by myself too. No, so many people that are single came to our last New York City show. So if you're single or you can't convince your friends to come with you, your friends will be our friends. It will be in the house. Okay. So go get your tickets today for the Kempire After Dark tour. More information is available in the description for those that are watching on TikTok or Twitch or Twitter. Head on over to my Instagram at TheKempire, and you can find links for the Kempire After Dark tour there. All right. Shout out to everyone waiting behind the scenes. I appreciate your patience. I forgot how much more I had to talk about. All right. We're gonna sum this up though in regards to, so it seems as if the situation between Nick and Amir, although they said that they, sort of made peace at the Brooklyn Nets game, doesn't seem like they made full peace, because Nick still is bothered with the way that Natalie handled things. Noelle pointed out, we didn't ask her to do that. She ran with this narrative. She lied. They accused her of lying. Amir was like, she didn't lie. It was a game of telephone. She lied, Amir. She exaggerated. She wanted to get involved. And the fact that you want her to be full-time next season gave me all the information that I needed. She came there with a mission. She wanted to get camera time. You saw how Tasia and Donald came, and they were just there to be there with their partners. No, Natalie came there to have moments. And then she wanted to get involved and gossip. And Nick was just like, well, she really wants to get to know people. She should go to people and talk to people and not talk about people. That was a bar. Look, that was a bar. I still do not understand why you guys were so attracted to Nick and the tattoos. Maybe because I'm not a tattoo person like that. I just felt like that's just a Nick with tattoos. It didn't make him sexier to me or anything, but that's me. A lot of you said that. All right. Crystal says, Amir is wrong. Because he knew Natalie was going to tell Tasia and Amir didn't try to stop her. That part. We forget about that part. She clearly told Amir that she was going to tell Tasia about it. Instead of telling Natalie, don't get involved. But he can't say that to Natalie because Natalie runs him. Look, Natalie runs him. So Amir does say that Natalie wants to return to set the record straight and allow people to get to know her. We're not interested. And here's the thing. For people that believe that we're not interested in having someone that's not black on the show, that's not it. We don't want someone like Natalie who came and said, oh, that's just not my vibe. She gave very Karen-esque behavior, and then she wanted to throw this black man under the bus. It was like, no. Look, we had no problem with Simon coming. No, we don't want him full time, but we see clearly what Natalie wanted, and we're not interested. We're not interested. Flip Virgo, come on now. Y'all are our best in the chat. All right. Nash says, nah, we're good on her. Yeah. Teresa said, nope, we'll pass. All right. Turtle 212, thank you so much for the super chat. Turtle says, Preston saying that Jasmine buys followers. Oh, where did he say that? He said that during the reunion? Or did he say it in an interview? Turtle says, Preston saying that Jasmine buys followers and Jordan calling her inauthentic gives they're trying to put Jasmine in her place like she's not that girl. Well, I told y'all last week, I said Jasmine is the queen of Summer House Martha's Vineyard, and she didn't even have to try this season. She didn't even have to try. Clearly, she is a unifying person in this group because no matter how they try to alienate her, she still got along. She still was, it didn't feel like she was alienated in the group. Yes, they try to do it off the show, but on the show, it felt fine. It felt fine. It will be interesting to see Jasmine next season. Now she's no longer pregnant. I'm not sure if Silas is coming back. Do you want to see Silas come back? I don't know. But if there are issues between Silas and Preston, I want to see it play out and them have the conversation on the show. So I'm probably okay with Silas maybe being a visitor. Maybe being thank you. V Wade says he said it in the Carlos interview. Thank you, Liz. Liz says he said it on the Carlos interview. So he was being shady in that interview, huh? He was being real shady in that interview. Exactly. Samira says Jasmine's even keeled. She's a Capricorn, Earth sign. All right. And you know what Marigold's is best. Marigold says Preston told it to a vlogger. Gozy says they needed 2 episodes of this reunion. I think it's just because of scheduling. We're lucky that they even got a reunion because there is a lapse in content for Bravo right now. So I think let's just be happy. Let's just be happy. All right. I agree. I'm at work says, can Silas come to visit for a few days? That's what I want. Maybe that's what we should get for next season. I just need Silas to come visit for a few days and then we're good. And let's ease ourselves into Silas returning. Okay. All right. Like we don't need and we do not need any jackhammers. Okay. Anyways. All right. Let me give my final thoughts. Well, the final thoughts from the Summer House Martha's Vineyard reunion. And then we're going to get to some quick callers that want to share their thoughts. Live chat. Thank you so much for us achieving over 550 likes, but we have almost 1,400 of you watching on YouTube alone and quite a few of you watching on Twitch and Twitter and here on TikTok. So keep tapping your screens, TikTok. Thank you guys so much for the gifts. And for those that are following on other platforms, be sure to do the things to support the things. Okay. All right. I'm going to drop the call-in link for the live chat as well for those that want to call in and share their thoughts. All right. So we get these final thoughts. These final thoughts. So Amir addresses the issues that he had with Mariah. I'm done addressing it. I get it, Amir. You're a real estate agent. I didn't like Mariah's analogy. You're a real estate agent. You should know not to mix dog stuff with human clothes. He just refused to take any ownership. I get it. He says, I didn't want to take complete ownership because she chose to push, to shove Bria. Fine. But they ended up making amends in that conversation. But at that premiere party, they weren't really paying attention to each other. They weren't really interacting until they both were at the bar at the same time. And apparently there was still like an issue. Jasmine says that that she feels as if Amir was being dismissive to Mariah. Preston. So apparently, I thought all things were good with Preston and Phil. Apparently, Andy must knew more information because Andy said, "So you didn't feel like Phil's apology was authentic?" So apparently, Phil was flirting with all the ladies at the party, and apparently Phil and Mariah were F buddies. But Jasmine points out, like, well, you guys have screwed before and are friends now. I wish we could have gotten to the bottom of, look, there's more questions. What exactly happened between Jasmine and Mariah? Because apparently this affected their relationship. There are questions that could have been answered in part 2, but I get it. Here's the thing, Bravo, what you could have done. I know you don't have the scheduling on Bravo, but you could have put it on Peacock, like a part 2. Part 2 exclusively on Peacock. Well, on Peacock, you're welcome, Bravo. There is an extended, uncensored version on Peacock. So you can hear the curse words, and there are probably moments from the live one that you guys didn't see from the live one. You can see on the Peacock version. That's the version I'm recapping, is the Peacock version. Okay? All right. So Preston talks about Phil's apology. Mariah and Phil are FBs, I guess. I wish we could have unpacked some of that stuff more. Phil, you flirting with all the ladies at this party. Do you guys want to see Phil come back? I don't know. I think we're good on Phil at this point. Look, we tried with you, Phil. All right. So Summer says that she doesn't regret calling Shanice the worst dresser. And then Shanice said, well, the next day you wanted to use my sweater. She's like, yes, I know how to pair things. And shout out to the Brooke Ashley. The Brooke Ashley asked the question. I saved the question here, Brooke. Brooke asked the question. I was wondering if this was Brooke's question. So I saved her question. So Brooke, because, Shanice was crying and saying, I lost my job. I don't have any money to buy things. But she says she dates all these rich men. So Brooke asked the question, Brooke from New York, Shanice, why are you always bragging about these high status men and NBA players in your DMs, but crying about money? No nudes or sex should be going down if you can't even get a cash app for one of these men to buy you a Zara blouse. I mean, well, she says she doesn't date these men for their money.
Lies! The lie!
Okay, Shanice, whatever, girl. Whatever, girl. Whatever, girl. For those that are trying to get backstage, for those that come up during our callers segment, just drop out so other people that are trying to get in can get in. They can only hold a certain amount of people backstage. So we're going to try and get to all of the callers. How would you guys rate this reunion? Well, first of all, congratulations to Shanice. She does have a new job. She's in software sales. I don't know what that is, but okay, Tommy. No, I'm playing, Shanice. I'm playing. Congratulations to her. Congratulations to the cast. This was a good cast, no matter how you feel about any of them. This was a good cast. This was a good season. It was a great time recapping it. I look forward to season 3. I want to see more single men. I want to see at least one person that's really connected to Martha's Vineyard. And I know, Jasmine, you've summered there for the last few years, but I want someone that has summered there, grew up there, that has some... that can bring us to their family home or something. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of you want to see them film during high season, but we don't have it in the budget yet. We don't have it in the budget yet, unfortunately. But even without them filming during the high season, we've enjoyed the show, haven't we? Look, haven't we? Okay, just me? Fine. Oh, well, there's 1,300 of you here. 1,500, 1,700 of you here. Libra, you know what, Libra? I thought the same thing. Libra says, so Shanice is giving it up for free. Liz says, did we talk about why Bria was in the first seat next to Andy? I mean, after this reunion, seeing Bria in the first seat didn't make sense, even though I feel like she brought the most during the season in regards to, even if you don't like it, what she brought the most. So it felt weird that she was in the first seat and we barely spoke to her. I mean, if anything, Noelle should have been in the first seat because she kept on chiming in. But I get it. She's a newbie. But it also wouldn't have made sense. If we saw it, we were like, why is Noelle in the first seat? All right. Gozy says, hoping the ratings are strong enough for season 3. This is why it's important for you guys. Even if you don't want to watch it because you've heard the recap, go turn it on Peacock and go clean a bathroom. Go do a load of laundry, okay? Talk about it on social media. Tag Summer House MV, Summer House Martha's Vineyard. Let's continue this conversation with our callers next. So that's what I'm going to do. Reminder to the callers. The callers are calling in of their own free will. They agree not to use profanity, derogatory statements, not talk about people's hair or bodies. Also, they will respect the timer so that we're able to get to everyone. If I cut you off, I'm not being rude. I've already given you a warning. So please respect the timer. All right? All right. Let's get to the callers. All right? And if you haven't liked the video already, be sure to like the video. All right? All right. Let me put my disclaimer up. Got my disclaimer here. All right. Let's bring up our very first guest, Wendy. Wendy's backstage. We're going to bring Wendy up. Wendy, what's going on?
Hi, Kempire.
How are you?
Hi, everybody. Okay, so Shanice, if you want to be a 304, don't be one for free. At least get some money for it, okay? Amir, stop saying that Natalie wants to make amends. If she really wanted to make amends, she would have been there. And it would have been a boo-boo show, right? Because them girls going to be after her if she would have been there. So Natalie was afraid to go there. Amir, average Amir, like regular Robin, we got average Amir. Okay, you are not the top-notch boyfriend, and it pissed me off how you was trying to make Nick seem like he has the wandering eye. Any man sees a naked woman twerking beside him, they're gonna look. Okay, you was just afraid that if Natalie caught you looking, she was gonna kick your butt. That's all it is. And that's all I gotta say. Oh, okay. One more thing. I think the reason why Bria and Jasmine was in the first chairs is because they are the favorites of the network, and that's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Wendy. Take care. I believe it. Look, no matter how you feel about Bria, she brought a lot of drama during the season. She was the focal point, but based off the edit, it just feels like she's sitting there and like, what? Why? But it's fine. It's fine. Shout out to everyone watching on Twitch and Twitter. We see you guys. Shout out to everyone watching behind the scenes here on TikTok. We're taking callers to talk about the Summer House Martha's Vineyard. We're going to bring up Janelle next. Janelle, what's going on?
Bonjour, Kempire. Hello, darling.
I haven't heard that in a while.
I know. It's been a minute. You know, we out here busy, booked and busy, trying to make that money, make that coin. How are you?
I'm fantastic. What did you think about this season?
Well, first off, I love Martha's Vineyard, and I'm bummed that it was only 9 episodes. But but you know what? Watching that last episode last week, I had to remind myself they were in that house for 15 days. I would have been, I can't say the word on YouTube. What's the better word? You know what? I would have been in the orange jumpsuit.
Oh.
And I probably my name would be Rock News. Okay. If read in between the lines, everybody. No, I couldn't do it. I wish Martha's Vineyard was easier to get to so that they have more of an arrangement like OG Summer House where they can just go there every weekend and not kill each other. So it's just like, you know what I mean? Like I wish that was the case. I was like, I wish there was a way that we could just break it up more so we can get more episodes. but I don't know how that is possible. And it's not like people live super far away. The only person who is far away is Summer. Everyone else is on the East
Amir
Coast.
too. He lives in
Oh
Texas.
yeah, I forgot he is in Austin, Texas. But outside those two, everyone else is either in New York or DC. I mean, Bria come when she want to come, so whatever. I don't care. I don't care. But yeah, I enjoy the reunion, and I don't think Alex is an F boy. I think he's just like, what's up? This is me, like it or not. I'm done. Bye,
Bye,
Kempire!
Janelle. Take care. All right, we're gonna bring up Miss Bernice next. I feel like I haven't talked to a lot of you guys in such a long time. Oh, we haven't taken callers in a bit. All right, happy Memorial Day for those that are just joining us. We're talking about Summer House Martha's Vineyard. We're gonna bring up Miss Bernice. Miss Bernice, what did you think of the reunion?
What up, though? How you doing, Kempire? Happy Memorial Day to you and everybody else.
You too.
It was good, but since Bree was in the front seat, and Amir said that he couldn't forgive Mariah because she pushed little Miss Fragile Bria, but her and Summer got in a fist down, knockdown fight on the floor. But ain't nobody said anything about that. And Amir is Renfield from now on for me, because he's the little helper to Dracula, which is Natalie, that suck all the energy out the room when she come in there. So Renfield can take his little butt in the corner and go eat a cockroach. I don't care. Cause he got on my last nerve.
Wow.
Okay? And Preston, I see you, Preston. I see you. And what I see, I don't like.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Bernice.
Oh, okay, Kempire. I know I was being bad. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. Again, this is why I think Preston did this whole press run where he was like he was everywhere in the last week. Now I'm starting to see why. I told you about those Pisces men. No, I'm playing. All right, April's backstage. We're gonna bring April up next. April, what's going on? What do you want to say about Summer House Martha's Vineyard?
Good evening. By the way, I have some carrot juice for you because my stepmom made some. But I have a lot of Pisces placements, so we can be shady. And I love Preston, but it's really giving flip flop. And I need to clean that up because it's giving. If there is something else, I don't want to go to Carlos or everybody else. Like either say it on your tweet or leave it on the playground. Amir can go and he can take his, I'm going to behave myself. He can take Miss White Latina Barbie and stay in Miami if that's where they want to go. Silas definitely can come visit. Phil can stay where we found him underneath the bridge with the rest of the trolls. I would like Jason and Mariah to come back because it would have evened the plank, I feel like, for Jasmine to have someone, because it was definitely giving a pylon session. And we do need a black host to definitely comment on other, like microaggressions, different things like that, because what Miss White Latina Barbie did was not cool. And enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank
Bye,
you,
guys.
April. Take care. All right. Let's get to some more callers, guys. If you're just joining us, we're taking some calls. We dropped the call link for members on the community tab, and we already dropped the call-in link for those in the live chat. Pete, thank you so much for the super chat. Pete says, how come Cass always turn on the founder of the group? Don't say that, because word on the street, Jordan was the founder, and that's probably why she's mad at Jasmine, because everyone thinks that Jasmine is the founder of the group. But I mean, she's connected with a lot of the people in the group. Anyways, reality television. Let me get to some more calls. Let me just scroll back down on these comments. Lord have mercy. I appreciate you guys having opinions. All right. Nia's backstage. We're gonna bring Nia up next. Nia, what's going on? What you want to say about Summer House Martha's Vineyard? Nia, you're muted. Nia. Oh wait. Oh, Nia, hold on. There was a second Nia back here. Look, you saw that, Nia? I moved that one.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I got out of the other one and came onto this one because it wasn't working for my mic.
Oh,
So this
okay.
is
So let me
why.
kick that one out so we can let people in. There you go.
So, just a quick thing. I'm glad everybody's seen Preston and saying that he is flip-flopping and his story is changing by the interviews he's going to. And he always is on Twitter making it seem like he has so much to say. I would think an attorney will be able to say what he has to say very eloquently and out there without having to go on so many different interviews. But let's just put it like this. He doesn't like Jasmine anymore because of Jordan.
Oh,
He got buddy buddy with Jordan. He got buddy buddy with the girls. He got in with the cool clique, and now they don't want Jasmine in it no more. That's why they don't want Mariah around, and that's why they don't want your boy. I forgot the one you always say you want back. I want him to
Jason,
come
come
back
on.
too. I want him to come back too because those are real friends to Jasmine. And Jasmine, I hope she learned to never have Bria or any of any of them back over her real friends because their slip is shown. And I think it is somebody did say it's very clear that Preston and them are over there to protect Jordan because she has so much to say behind somebody's back, but never in front of their face. But that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Nia. Take care.
No problem. Bye.
Wow. All right. Delon's backstage. We're going to bring Delon up. Delon, thank you so much for your super chats. What do you want to say about Summer House Martha's Vineyard?
Hi, Kempire. How are you?
Oh, well, how are you?
I'm good. I'm not going to talk too much about Preston because, he tried to disconnect my call last week.
Oh,
He tried to spill the tea. So I told y'all last week, so I'm glad that y'all caught up. I'm so glad y'all caught on because he's a liar. These Pisces men are crazy, insane in the membrane. So next, Jordan tried with the excuses, talking about that's her sense of humor was a load of bull. I would have tugged on that wig. I'm sorry. Jasmine gave too much grace to her because that was disgusting and uncalled for, in my opinion. And Autumn had too many excuses for her actions. And Alex gagged me with that read. I was like, yes. And all the Kappas had the reads today. Nick was gathering. So, and then I posted my ranking of the cast. Definitely my top 5 had Jasmine, Nick, and Alex. So I'm good with that. And Preston, Jordan at the bottom where they belong.
Oh, damn. All right. Thank you, Delon.
Have a great day.
Take care.
See you in Nashville.
Yeah, see you in Nashville. Guys, don't forget, we'll be in Nashville on July 11th. Then the next day in Atlanta. If you haven't gotten your tickets, what are you waiting on? What are you waiting on? We're going to be in Nashville. We're going to be Kiki. I might sing my song, Scissoring. We're going to be scissoring. You don't want to miss that. Head on over to the description for more details on the Kempire After Dark live tour. And if you're watching on TikTok or Twitch or Twitter, head on over to our Instagram at The Kempire for links for our Nashville show, our Atlanta show, our Boston show, which is coming up. And in just a couple of weeks, I'll be performing here live in New York City at the Green Room 42. Again, more information on that will be available in the description. And for those that are watching us, don't forget to like the video. We have 1,300 of you on YouTube alone. Can we get to at least 1,000 likes? Just saying. All right, Toya's backstage. We're going to bring Toya up next. Toya, what did you want to say about Summer House Martha's Vineyard? Toya, you're muted. Toya. All right, we'll drop you now, Toya. We'll come back. We'll try again. Lee's backstage. We're going to bring Lee up next. Lee, what did you want to say about Summer House Martha's Vineyard? Lee, you're muted.
Hey.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry. Hey, how are you?
Oh, well, how are you?
I'm doing good. I wrote down notes so I can be quick.
Awesome. Let's go.
Okay. So I already expressed how important it is to have reality TV show with young Black successful people. So I really hope that they keep Martha's Vineyard. But if Jordan has 0 haters, me and Juvenile are gone off this earth. I'm just joking. I don't hate anyone. She's just not my cup of tea. But I really do think that the reason that Preston didn't mediate or bridge a friendship, the friendship of Jordan and Jasmine, is just basically because Jordan doesn't want to. Jasmine probably does, but that's a boundary that Preston, does have to keep respectful. I've been in that situation, and if one is not willing, then we can't move forward. But I do think that icing Jasmine out was wrong. But people do grow apart, and I just think Jasmine is a totally different part of her life now.
Yeah.
So maybe, just maybe, they can do Summer House couple retreat.
Oh, look at you coming up with
Right?
ideas.
That would be so cute, but Amir and Nutella are not invited
Oh, I'm about
at
to say,
Natalie has got to go.
Okay. Thank you, Lee, for calling in.
Bye.
Bye. Let's try Toya again. Toya, are you there? Toya, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
All righty. Yes, I'm driving.
Oh.
Thank you for coming back to me, Kempire.
No problem. What did you want to say?
All right. I wanted to say I think Andy did a really good job. He asked the questions I thought that for the most part needed to be asked, especially about Amir and Natalie. And he went in a little bit about when are you gonna get permission to propose, and he said when it was 80 degrees outside. Like, sir, you live in Austin, it's been 80 degrees since February. But anyway, Bria's comment about the soulmate thing, I don't like that, especially because it's a specific person that she's referring to. That's not cool. That is not cool. Also, Jasmine, is she gonna come in season 3 with her baby? Because baby gonna be about 7 months, right?
Probably, yep.
She ain't leaving that baby at home for 2 weeks. That's gonna be very interesting dynamic. I think we need more single people on the show. I'm sorry.
You're entitled to your opinion.
Thank you. Thanks, Kempire. Have a good one.
You too, Toya. Take care. All right. Let's bring up Jessica next. Hold on. Jessica, what's going on? What did you want to say?
Hey, Kempire.
Hey, how are you?
Good. I wrote some notes too. So I just want to say that I feel like Noelle wants to continue having a problem with Summer because she's already pursuing Alex and she needs something to stick because she doesn't want to have a narrative of stealing a friend's man and all that. Or like dating an ex-friend's and sort of like a Fallon and Portia thing. I sort of feel like, Preston, he chose Jordan and Summer's side with everything because I watched some of his interviews and it just kind of comes down to the fact that that's who like he's sort of like that's sort of his spec in a sense, and that's sort of like a thing where it's like those are like the pretty ones, and like she's like the 4th playmate of the year and a thing, and I feel like it's a thing where I think that desirability plays a huge role in a lot of these things. And whenever like someone is like really desirable, it's sort of a thing where they ignore a lot of their faults and they don't hold them accountable. And it's similar to how Cynthia, another Pisces, gave Kenya a lot of passes in those later seasons of RHOA. And I think that plays a huge factor in how things come along because of the fact that they never seem to hold them accountable. And I do think also that Andy did a great job. It really did shock me. I do think that they should break these reunions apart where they bring people out later on because I don't think that Shanice was needed the whole entire time in this reunion.
Damn. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jessica. Take care.
All right, you too.
I mean, what did you guys think about Jessica's perspective? I mean, she brings up some valid points on why Preston might be defending or, picking Jordan over Jasmine. That was interesting. We have such a smart audience and what's the word? I can't think. It's all right. That's because I'm hungry. All right. Jamie will be our final caller, but shout out to everyone that called and we appreciate you guys calling in and taking time out of your Memorial Day. It is Memorial Day, so happy Memorial Day. We're going to bring up Jamie next. Jamie, what did you want to say about Summer House Martha's Vineyard?
Happy Memorial Day, Kempire, with your glistening, glowy self. Peace and blessings.
Thank you, too.
I didn't know I'd be the last caller. Listen, we need to up the budget for season 3. I know I said a lot last time about Bria, so I'm not going to talk about her. My apologies. All the girls, this is a beautiful cast. Honestly, I love to see young Black people, different shades, everyone. They seem like real friends, but yes. I need them to up the budget, and we don't need any more bunk beds for grown men. Bring on some more alphas, some kappas, some Qs, some sigmas, at least 3 new guys. And I think we need at least 2 new girls. Mariah also to be a support system for Jasmine. And let me say this, Jasmine, let these bird friends of yours go. Let them go their way and find their way in love and life. Mind your happily married business and be neutral going forward. You have way more to think about now with baby Sai. I mean, if you're growing in life and you change in your relationship, how your friendships transition even if you can still be the same person, but you have to grow up when you get married. That's just a fact. And if you know, you know that not everybody has to get married. Marriage is not for everyone. But Jordan is really, really miserable. And I feel for her because she's a beautiful girl. But I like the cast. I like the show. And we need more of this on TV to take away from the ratchetness. But I love you and thank you so much for your reviews on just everything in this show.
Thank you, Jamie. Take care. Have a great rest of your
Okay.
Memorial Day.
You too. Happy holidays to everybody.
You too. Bye. Thank you to everyone that called in. Happy Memorial Day. It is a gloomy day here in New York City, which was fine because it's bright and sunny wherever we are, right? It's bright and sunny. Final thoughts on Summer House Martha's Vineyard. Stellar season, second season. I'm glad that we finally got a reunion. And I have to say shout out to all of you, the viewers, the people that watch our content, the people that watch the show and talk about Summer House Martha's Vineyard on social media. You are the reason why they got a reunion. So thank you to all of you. Thank you to everyone that views and watches us. Shout out to Alex. He was one of the cast members that called in this season. You know, last season we had Silas call in and then we had Bria call in. I'm mad that they didn't point out Bria's hypocrisy, but that's fine. They only had one part, so they couldn't cover everything. But let's fingers crossed, because you remember when Summer House, the other show, started, they didn't get a reunion their first season, and they also had a Watch What Happens Live reunion, if I recall correctly. A lot of these shows end up, in the early seasons having a Watch What Happens Live reunion. It's fine. We will work our way up to bigger and better things. Word on the street, they are casting for season 3. We shall see. Shout out to all of you for being here. We appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like the video if you haven't already. And if you haven't already and you are in New York City, I'm going to keep reminding you, if you're in New York City, we will be live and in person. I'm going to have plenty of thoughts to talk about Summer House Martha's Vineyard. This conversation is not over. So if you want to continue this conversation, if you want to talk about the hot topics from the Diddy of it all, we'll talk about that. Brian McKnight. All hot topics, all reality television will be at the Kempire After Dark Tour. And no show is like any other show because it is based off what's happening now. So stay tuned for that. June 21st here in New York City, June 27th in Boston, July 11th in Nashville, Tennessee. And then, of course, Atlanta, we're coming there on July 12th. And then August 30th, we will be in Seattle. More information on that for those that are watching on other platforms. You can get in the description links to the show, and of course on Instagram you have links there as well. Again, thank you to our subscribers, thank you to our channel members. To become a member, head on over to TheKempire.com/join, and of course thank you to our King's Guards for holding us down during this very interesting conversation about Summer House Martha's Vineyard. Very good season. Shout out to everyone involved. Let me just say thank you to everybody that was involved. My final thoughts on everyone. Andy, that suit is terrible. But you did a good job. I love all the shade that you gave to Amir, okay? Bria, I thought you would bring a lot more at the reunion, but you had a very interesting season, okay? Jordan, dressed still terrible. You had a very season, but we appreciate you sharing your alopecia journey. Shanice, this is more of a sitting dress. I enjoy those little awkward, funny moments with Shanice where we didn't expect it. She's sitting in bed eating the chicken. Like, there were some moments with Shanice. I'm glad we got to see a little bit more of Shanice this season. I wish we could have got a little bit less of Amir. No. At the beginning of the season, I really enjoyed Amir. It felt like he was really looking out for everyone. He seemed like a nice guy until Natalie showed up. We don't want to see her. If Natalie is your breaking point, well, we are broken and we do not want to see you. Okay? Alex, thank you again for calling into the show and handling our hard questions like a pro. And then we appreciate you showing up at this reunion and showing up at Watch What Happens Live. I think you guys were part of the reason why he even got to be on Watch What Happens Live. Jasmine, you are the queen of the show. Congratulations on your baby. Summer, we appreciate the vulnerability, but nice knowing you. Nice knowing. I don't think she's going to come back. I think the dress looks great here. Nick, who knew that we would be defending you this season? Who knew? Noelle, I do feel like you were trying a little hard at this reunion, but you are still the MVP of the season. You are a nice addition. Whoever casted you, they need a promotion. And Preston, who would have thought? Who would have thought? Everyone's turning on Preston. Everyone is turning on Preston. But I tell you about those Pisces men. Preston, we still love you though, do we? Nia, thank you so much for the super chat. Nia says another thing. When did Preston all of a sudden have a problem with Silas? I bet he'll talk to him and say it was a misunderstanding like the Phil situation and then say it was handled fully. Shady. Ooh. This is why I always remind you guys, we're watching a snapshot of these people's lives. This is why I don't have a strong opinion on any of these reality TV stars. Unless I have an interaction with you, I don't have that strong of opinion. Maybe Martell. And guys, if you missed all the stories that we covered over the weekend, including Nicki Minaj getting arrested, Maurice Scott getting arrested, be sure to check that out, including our Love and Marriage Huntsville recap on Sunday. Nia, thank you for another super chat. Nia says, when Alex said he could get Noelle, I believe it because she was jealous on the second day that he wasn't falling over her. Called her mom too. And she didn't disagree with him either during the reunion. She didn't disagree. She did say that she wasn't pursuing him. She said, we're all single people. Like, there's interest. And I think he did have interest, but the connection to Summer probably scared him. I don't blame him. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here. Again, don't forget our sponsor of today's live show is Factor Meals. I'm going to go pop one into the microwave right now because the brother is hungry. All right. More information on Factor Meals will be available in the description. Again, thank you to all of you for being here. Happy Memorial Day. I will see you guys tomorrow for our Tuesday takeover at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 a.m. PST. I have a lot more television to catch up on, so let me go get caught up. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye, y'all. Let's get out on here.
Yeah, I know. You was right and I was wrong. Yeah, I know. You was right and I was wrong. I need to learn to put my pride in my pocket. Ay. Yeah, I know. You was right and I admit it. That trade can be toxic. Ay. Yeah, I know. You was right. I'm just so stubborn at times. I know. You was right. I'm just so stubborn at times. I know. You was right. Hey, girl, I hate to see you cry, but that happens every single time we fight. Look, I'm far from a perfect guy, and I do anything to try to make it right. But you, babe. Look, I know sometimes I act like I'm unbothered. If I end up losing you, babe, you make me better. But we have this forever. I promise I will change. I need to learn to put my pride in my pocket. Ay. Yeah, I know. You was right. I admit it. That trade can be toxic. Ay. Yeah, I know. You was right. I'm just so stubborn at times. I know. You was right. I'm just so stubborn at times. I know. You was right. The energy ain't been the same, but if we work on it, we surely can regain. Look, I went and booked a private plane, a little vacation in Barcelona, Spain. What you say? Spend some time just you and me to rekindle a special little thing. Ay, I know we always wanna agree, can't always have it my way, but I don't want you to leave. Please stay. I need to learn to put my pride in my pocket. Ay. Yeah, I know. You was right. I admit it. That trade can be toxic. Ay. Yeah, I know. You was right. I'm just so stubborn at times. I know. You was right. I'm just so stubborn at times. I know. You was right. I need to learn to put my pride in my pocket. Ay. Yeah, I know. You was right. I admit it. That trade can be toxic. Ay. Yeah, I know. You was right. I'm just so stubborn at times. I know. You was right. I'm just so stubborn at times. I know. You was right and I was wrong. You was right and I was wrong. You was right and I was wrong.
we go now.